Well, Chapek's out, Iger's in. Let's talk about it. Hi, welcome back to my channel. Well, maybe just welcome to my channel. This is a fairly new space where I do long form content, but you always see my shorts that I bring over to here on YouTube as well. But if you are new, which I'm assuming you are, make sure you hit that follow button and the like. Leave a comment. I would love to make this a discussion because boy, we haven't had news this big in Disney in quite some time, especially happy news. Am I right? You might know me from TikTok or Instagram at the Samantha Souza, or if you're stumbling across my page here for the first time, that would be crazy. But go ahead and give me a follow over there as well before we get started. Well, as you all know, Bob Iger is now the CEO of Disney. Once again, Chapek is out, and this is basically how we all felt yesterday. It was the first time in a long time that basically Disney fans around the world felt united in joy, unanimously. I mean, how often does that happen with anything in life? Chapek did step down. Whether or not he was forced to by corporate, we don't really know. Either way, he got a fantastic like $25 million settlement, so he's going to be fine, okay? We don't need to worry about Chapek. A lot of people are asking, why are we so excited about Iger? Let's talk about it. Obviously, everything I'm about to say is mostly my opinion, but I think it's corroborated by a lot of people. What makes Iger amazing is that, in my opinion, he is the closest to Walt Disney that we've ever had. And let me tell you why I think that. Disney was a brilliant businessman. He was also an incredible idea man, and he was passionate about the core values that he created in the Walt Disney Company. Iger is the closest that we've been to somebody who was both equally business savvy, but also had the heart. Eisner had all of the heart, but not necessarily the business or the money savvy. That was usually going to Wells. But Iger was the first time that we had the merging of the two. Chapek, unfortunately, in my opinion, was neither. He was not great at money management, and he was certainly not an idea guy. He didn't have any of the heart, and the Disney company is nothing if it doesn't have heart. Iger knows how to make money and how to charge more for things, frankly, while still delivering on guest experience, whether it be on the shows that you watch on Disney Plus, in parks, formerly at the Disney Store, anywhere. The problem was that Chapek nickel and dimed and yet didn't deliver as much. So you were paying more for less. And listen, Disney was never cheap. It was never monetarily wise to spend your money going to Disney World than it was to go on another vacation. You could go to Disney World for the price of going to a trip to Europe, but you got what a lot of people refer to as the Disney difference. And instead, what Chapek delivered on was making things more difficult. You were getting a lot less for more money, and it put a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. Iger knew that, listen, it's not going to be cheap, but it's going to be worth it. And none of us could argue it. We always, at least the majority of people who are the target demographic, felt that we got what we paid for. It was going to be pricey, but we were going to leave with memories to last a lifetime. And Chapek delivered on the same thing. Memories to last a lifetime, but they were not good memories. It was memories of how difficult it was to go to Disney nowadays. The fact that I have to make YouTube videos and PDFs for my family members who are going to Disney to just hope that they're going to have a good time, because it's far more complicated to go and have a good time than it's ever been. I recently saw a video where even just back in 2019, all the things that you used to get that were included in a Disney experience that now have all been monetized, that was Chapek. I think a reason why a lot of people found Chapek to be unlikable, frankly, was that lack of heart. He didn't know his product, and if he was passionate about parks or Disney Plus or animation, he certainly had a really weird way of showing it. Whether saying,
put their kids to bed at night after watching Pinocchio, they're probably not going to tune into another animated movie.
Or claiming that it was all about cast members while treating them poorly and not paying them properly, under appreciating them, under respecting them, changing their attendance policies, also crapping on Imagineers and saying, oh yeah, the rides are cool, but it's really about the cast members. It's like, well, you clearly don't believe that any of that is true. And guess what? Imagineers are also cast members. From something as small as saying that Disney World is the happiest place on earth, when Disney World, we all know, is the most magical place on earth, and Disneyland is the happiest place on earth. You can say that's being nitpicky, but at the end of the day, it was proof that Chapek not only doesn't know enough about his own company, but doesn't have the heart or care to. He's not one of us. He's not passionate. And he's just about the bottom line when it comes to money. It was clear. And post-pandemic, we were living in a world where, or we were willing to spend more, even though we felt cheated, even though we felt like we were being nickel and dimed, we were willing to suck it up and pay it to get our Disney fix. But that was not going to play out long term. He blatantly said that he didn't care that maybe we were pricing some of Middle America out, when Middle America is the heart and soul of the Disney message. Marceline, the town where Walt is from, is Middle America. Main Street is the welcome into the parks because it's for everyone. If it's for anyone, it's for Middle America. And yet, the majority of the average American, the average human, were priced out. There was only going to be so long post, things opening up post-pandemic and the willingness to travel and the desperation to get back to the places that we love. That wasn't going to last forever. And the more that you disrespect your customer, the less you treat them like a guest and more like a customer, somebody you can just bleed dry, you're not going to get the repeat business. The, as Chapek likes to say, family from Denver who goes once a year is going to start going once every 3 years, maybe once every 5 years, maybe never again, because of the way that they were treated and the experience that they had and the little value that they were provided in that experience. Chapek didn't have a follow-through plan. He wasn't playing the long game. He was playing the short game, and that never works out. At the end of the day, his biggest misstep was how he allocated budget towards Disney Plus, which was, again, about to be nickel and dimed with commercials, more expensive premium options, etc. Not realizing how expensive it is to produce constant content from one production company indefinitely. It's a big ask. Let's get into a question that a lot of people are asking, which is, what do I think is going to happen now that Iger is back? There's a difference between the blue sky ideas of what I hope might happen, what I think should happen, versus the reality of what will probably happen. People are not realizing, or it's not sinking in at least, that Iger is back for 2 years, and the only objectives are, one, to fix some of the disasters that Chapek has left in his wake, and two, to groom a successor. That's a lot to do in just 2 years. So those of you thinking we're going to get a new park or a new land announcement to compete with Epic Universe, I think you're going to be disappointed. However, there are a lot of things that he can do that don't require infrastructure change, building, anything like that, that are merely policy changes or functionality changes that are going to have massive effects on how the entire Disney company is run and how it functions and its efficiency and profitability is in the long term. So the one thing that I think that they really should change and could change almost effective immediately is reversing this new cast member attendance policy change. Under Chapek, the attendance policy for cast members became increasingly more difficult to adhere to the point where it was kind of ridiculous to a lot of cast members, high quality, high value, decades-long cast members who decided instead to leave because they knew that that attendance policy was not something that they were able to either put up with or actually physically adhere to. So we lost a lot of high-quality cast members, which meant parks went down, rides were constantly broken for longer, maintenance was an issue, and custodial was lacking because just a sheer numbers issue, not any fault in the cast members who are existing. Then that leads to cast members being overworked, underappreciated, underpaid, which is going to lead to bad cast member morale, which is going to lead to bad cast member and guest interactions, which is going to lead to a worse guest experience. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? This is a very, very easy change that with one just email, everything can be different. We can welcome back the cast members who now want to be back. Functionality of all areas of the Disney model will be better because we'll actually have the numbers on our side to support it. When guests are happier, they're more likely to spend money. So it affects everything, even though you're paying more cast members. Because again, we're going back to the idea of you can get away with something one time, but you're not going to be able to get away with it 3 times. The third time somebody has a bad guest interaction, the third time somebody sees trash all over the park, the third time people realize all the rides are broken down and they couldn't get on anything, they're not going to come back. You might be paying less employees in the short term and then making the same amount of money, but that's not going to work long term. So that's something I think they can fix. Secondly, I think they can abolish. I know for a fact that Iger is not a proponent of charging more money for Disney Plus. He never was. He's always wanted it to be as affordable as possible, even if it means just relying on their existing catalog. They don't need to put out a million new things all the time. Iger has said himself that he doesn't have a strong agreement with the way that a lot of the content that's been pushed on Disney Plus has debuted. For example, things like Obi-Wan, an amazing series, but should have been a movie. It would have been much more profitable as a movie than it is on Disney Plus, but Chapek felt the burden and the pressure of having as much content on Disney Plus as possible since they had put all of their money into it. Guess what, Chapek? You put a movie in theaters and you put it on Disney Plus 2 months later, you're still gonna have content on Disney Plus. It's fine. That's another personal opinion of mine, as I feel like just releasing movies onto Disney Plus 30 days after the release is not a wise business model, because that's short enough that people are just willing to wait, especially if word of mouth on the movie isn't that great. People who would have spent maybe $100 on their entire family to go see the newest Marvel movie in the theater are now just going to wait 30 days and pay $7.99 a month to have their whole family watch it. It's actually poor business doing it that way. Back in the day, you used to have to wait 6 months before you could watch a movie at home. Didn't bother any of us then. Maybe we don't have to wait that long now, but longer than 30 days at least. That's a better business model. The existing Disney catalog with Marvel, with Lucasfilm, with Disney, with Pixar, with National Geographic, there's now with Fox, there's plenty of content to just sit there. How many things on Netflix are new versus just old things? It doesn't have to be a new thing every single day. Iger understands this. Iger understands the profitability of certain types of content being in the traditional theater or not being a series and being a movie, etc. These are a lot of the missteps that have come out through Chapek's obsession with Disney Plus. Another thing that I know that you all want to have happen with this new Iger CEO move is you want things to be cheaper. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. It's not going to be cheaper without Chapek. That is not the party line. Things are not going to get cheaper. But the difference is you will get that Disney magic again. Iger will charge you the same amount that is the existing price, but it will actually be worth your money, which is the difference from Chapek. I think there will be some functionality changes. I don't know if things like Magical Express will come back. I don't know if an easy thing that could be done that doesn't cost anybody any money other than the paying of cast members to be there a little bit earlier is extra magic hours going from being a half hour, which they are now, back to being a full hour. Things like that where you feel like, oh, staying on property is now worth it again. Staying on property at Disney World has not been a smart financial move since Chapek took over, because he's just stripped away all the benefits to the point where it's like, well, why am I paying $300, $400, $500, $600 for a pretty average hotel room? Like, that's deluxe at Disney, but is very mediocre in the grand scheme of what hotels really are typically rated at. It's because you've got all these things with staying on property. So I think he could bring back a lot of those things, bringing the value back again. I think that's what's happening. Another thing that I know people want is free Fast Pass back, or the abolition of Genie Plus. And again, I hate to break it to you, I don't think that's going to happen. I can do a whole video about my feelings on Genie Plus and what I think would actually make it work better. But the long and short of it is that bringing Fast Pass back for free isn't going to do anything. What actually would do something is making Genie Plus exponentially more expensive and going to the universal model, making it maybe $100 a person so that so few people buy it that we're almost back to the single line system, which if you watch Defunct Land's documentary all about it here on YouTube, you will know that that's actually the quickest way. And guess what? That's also free. That way, the people who are willing to pay actually get what they pay for, which is not happening with Genie Plus on Lightning Lane right now. And the majority who pay nothing get a better experience. It's worked for Universal for years. Nobody's ever complained about it. Why wouldn't it work for Disney? I don't know if that will happen, but I think some tweaking of the Genie Plus model will happen with Iger. Just not sure what it's actually going to look like, but that's what it should look like. The last two things that I know you definitely want are bringing annual passes and magic keys back, and the biggest thing probably, abolishing the reservation system. And in a way, those two things kind of can go hand in hand. Chapek loved the reservation system. It was his baby. I don't know if it's going to go away anytime soon. If you remember, Disneyland had FlexPass back in the day. It had hardly any blackout dates, but the only caveat was that you had to make a reservation. It was only at Disneyland, which at the time was under Chapek's rule. It was the cheapest, even though it had hardly any blackout dates. Why do you think that is? Because they knew how crappy it was to have to make a reservation. So they valued it that way. And yet now they're trying to say that the reservation system is in your benefit. No, it's crap. And they know that, which is why they made it so cheap back when it was an option for a pass. I think that moving forward, they might go back to this model where you can get an annual pass, but it will be cheaper if you pick the one where you have to make a reservation, and there will be other tiers where you don't. And you'll be paying a premium for the convenience of not having to make a reservation. So I don't see the reservation system being completely abolished anytime soon, but I do see it being tweaked in said way. Also, I think annual passes will go back to being for purchase for everyone. Some people are saying, I don't know if that'll work because then what if the crowds get overrun? I got news for you. They were never not for sale back in the day, and it never affected crowding before. In fact, the less pressure that there is to make a reservation, the less likely people are to go, or they're more likely to just go for an hour and leave. Whereas when you force them to make a reservation, they feel more pressure to stay for the whole day because they have to honor how difficult it was to make the reservation. There's a lot of talk I could do about that, and it's probably better for another video, but that's something I could also see coming back as well under Iger. It's a great way to make money, and it's a great way to make fans of the company and the parks happy, and it's a great way to solidify Iger supremacy, if you will. The person who takes away reservations and the person who brings back annual passes is definitely going to go down as a legend, according to the fans, at least. I could literally go on and on and on, but I don't want to take up too much of your valuable time. But if you found this video helpful, useful, interesting, please give it a like. Comment down below what you hope to see in this new Iger reign. Who do you think is going to be the successor? Do you think it's going to be Josh D'Amaro? That seems to be the go-to answer. Or is it going to be somebody completely new that maybe we're not as familiar with? Let's discuss it down in the comments, and let me know what topics I've already discussed that you want me to dive deeper into, or any new topics as well. If you're not already following me on Instagram and TikTok, it is at @TheSamanthaSouza. I'd love to have you over there as well. And I hope that you have a great rest of your morning or night wherever you are. Have a good one. Bye. See you next time.